Better believe it. It is Saturday, November 1. Turn the clocks back tonight, 2025. Good old 710 KNUS, and the weather, 64 will be the high today, and tomorrow, 75 degrees. Drops back on Monday to 63 degrees. It's going to be a good show. We're standing by for Samuel J. He's a Ph.D. professor at Metro about AI. Are you afraid of AI? You know, I semi-am. I mean, it's the truth. And how many times do you think we're dealing with real people, or how many times you're dealing with AI? One of my first questions, who owns this? Who owns AI? And we'll get into that in terms of you talk to these people, or you talk to this machine, and I've used it many, many, many times. When you ask the AI app about something, and the guys on the job this morning take it a lot further than that. They actually argue with AI. But who is it? What is it? And we're standing by. Then the Wiccans are going to be with us. The witches are going to be on the show, and looking forward to that. And I want to do lots of open lines on Donald Trump and the proposal to start testing our nuclear weapons. They claim on this equal basis. Well, again, we'll get your thoughts about that as well. The coach is here, sitting down, got a Roadrunner shirt. It's the man with a plan. Put him on. There we go. Let me say good morning.
Good morning, Peter. How are you doing?
Hey, man, thanks, brother. Thanks for coming in.
Shake hands. I'm Sam. Nice to meet you.
Good to know you. And I see you brought your daughter with you.
Yes, my middle daughter, Odette, is here. She just came from a sleepover and a lot of Halloween candy. Yeah, for sure.
Who did you dress up as last night?
The famous quote, 6'7".
Are you familiar with 6'7", Peter?
I hear people say 6'7".
Yes. I don't know what it means.
I don't know what it means either.
But it worked. People seem to laugh, and that's all.
Okay.
That's what you go for these days.
Very cool.
Yes.
When you were where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Iowa. So I grew up in Iowa until I graduated college, and the day after my wife and I graduated, we left and moved to Texas, and then we ended up here. We've been here for 15 years.
And you have I read your bio, you have an MA in radio television.
Yes, I do. Yes, my undergrad was in cinema and comparative literature, and then I went and got an art TVF degree for my master's. Yep.
When you got your MA, did you have to write a paper on it, or did you take the test?
I went and I wrote a paper. So I did film history and criticism. So that was my area of specialty. Yeah. And then I realized I moved to Austin. Tried to edit for about 6 months, and I just couldn't. It was tough. It was back in the day before the modern tech that we have now. So I was sitting in an editing bay, and that was it.
On your undergrad, your MA, what was the topic of the paper?
I wrote about. Oh man, this is dark.
No.
So my master's thesis was about representations of child sexual abuse in Hollywood film.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was. I'll just say this. My hypothesis was the further you get away from mainstream Hollywood into more boutique independent films, and I think you probably remember independent films used to be independent films. Now
Big
they're
time.
all the same.
Yeah.
The stories were always more complex. So there was a movie that came out called Little Children, and it won a bunch of Oscars maybe 20 years ago. It had Jackie Earle Haley, the kid from
sure.
and he was in it.
Sure.
But it was not a empathetic portrayal whatsoever of the abuser, but it was a more complicated story, and I thought that's interesting.
I've actually seen, maybe I've even seen that film, but you're right. There was that group of those kids, and what were they called? The Brat Pack.
Yes, exactly.
And they some of them were singled out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was interesting. And then I got to DU and did my PhD, and my PhD is really kind of where I found my footing. So I started digging deep into digital media, and probably why we're here today.
Yes.
And I was fascinated with the Obama administration's investment in a bunch of non-bailout type areas. And so what had happened is the administration had obviously gone and bailed out a bunch of banks and some big companies, and we didn't see the market respond in the way that was expected as quickly. Yeah. And my argument was there was in this side pool of money that started investing in they called it financial literacy programs. Yep. So we go into communities, teach everybody how to manage their own money, with the idea that if the individual felt more comfortable managing their money, the market would therefore feel confident as well. Markets run on confidence.
It was nonsense. The same thing happened with Obama phones. They were giving homeless street addicts phones. And the late Bob Cote, there's an organization here called Step 13, now it's Step Denver.
Yeah.
And I was with Bob. And Bob knew. And he said, these people have already burned every conceivable bridge they've had with their family. They've beaten up members of their family. They've stolen from grandma. They've done this, that, the other thing. People, they don't want to hear from them.
Yeah.
And Obama thought, well, we'll give people phones so they can call their families and tell them. Their families, as Cote said, families don't want them.
Right. It's a little bit more complicated than that, right? I mean, like that's not the solution necessarily to that issue. By
a long shot. I want to begin because this is new stuff for me, but I've been reading a lot. And our guest is Sam Jay. He's a Ph.D. professor at Metro on who owns AI.
Who owns
You just grinned.
No one. I mean, who owns the internet, right? I think the technology comes and then folks build products on top of it. That's what we've seen with all of this stuff.
When these guys this morning were really showing me AI, they argue with AI, which I thought was classic. Who are they talking to? I mean, there's got to be some answer.
I mean, She's Odette's here. Odette's about to do a huge presentation on AI. So it's funny. Her teachers, I've got two older daughters, so 3 daughters. 2 are in school where they can do presentations. And one said, I want to do artificial intelligence. The other one said, I want to do emotional intelligence. So I'm trying to coach them both up on these 2 areas. So we've been talking about it. I mean, nobody. You're not talking to a person, right? This is a computer that it's a very advanced, large computer. It's not necessarily a supercomputer in what we know. But these machines are basically trained via algorithm, via even some component of human training to predict the best next word or best pixel or best whatever you want to call it, whatever piece of information comes next in a string of information. And so it comes across as feeling human. That's why it sounds human. That's why you can train it to sound like human and the outputs sound human. But in reality, there's no feeling behind it. There's no emotion.
So it's not Hal.
No, it's not Hal. Well, that'd be interesting. I want to go back and think about Hal. Hal was way ahead of his time, right? I mean, that's Kubrick in a nutshell. But I think that's where things become a little bit more complicated, right? Is because if you don't have that perspective and these things are machines, they become very just overwhelming.
And it brings up, the rise of the machines and
Ask away, Peter. I know you.
No, I'm going to turn it over to the audience. 303-696. 1971, 303-696-1971. Lines are wide open. We're just beginning the show. Again, turn back your clocks. It was a reminder. Are you afraid of AI? Do you deal with AI? I watch, they argue. I mean, the young guys here, they have a game with AI, and there's people just from my reading that live in that world.
Yeah.
That's a relationship.
Yeah.
With a machine, with a computer, with a what?
Right. What I suppose the concerning thing to me when it comes to AI is probably much of the same concerns that neuroscientists have with our brain, which is there's so much that's going on there that we just don't understand. Right. So when you hear the term neural networks, it's a big term in generative AI, and kind of how generative AI really functions well in ways that previous iterations of AI did not. Is we don't really know how those connections are made. Right. In the same way, we don't know how our brain makes connections between these things, and that is very. It's a bit. I don't want to say concerning, but it is something to pay attention to, because I think if your scientists don't really understand how it's connecting the dots in the same way we don't really understand how our brains connect the dots, that's a little worrying.
I mean, I have an app and I can ask it about events, and it will go on page after page.
Yeah.
And then I've even done this and asked it about myself.
Yeah.
And it throws out pages after pages.
Yeah, for sure.
And some of it's correct and some of it's not correct.
Yeah.
I mean, by a long shot. But if someone would say, who is that idiot that does that radio show, and ask, it's going to put up stuff that's just not true.
Right.
But it seems to agree with you.
That is one problem that I have noticed, is that agreeability of it. And I think that's across the model. So if you think about tools like ChatGPT or Claude or even Google's Gemini, they're almost pre-trained to be kind. And
Oh, very.
that to me is problematic. Yeah.
Okay, 303-696-1971. So much came up to me. I'm a huge fan of the book Fahrenheit 451.
Yes, of course.
And you know that's the family.
Yeah.
And the fireman's wife, and I can't remember her name. She turned on TV, and the TV wasn't. It was the family.
Mm-hmm.
It talked to her. It was in relationship with her.
Yeah. What's fascinating with that book, and I think I've been thinking a lot about this with some of our English professors and even our art professors, is this story about the concern that we have with AI is the story that human beings have been telling since the beginning of time, right? I mean, this is the Frankenstein story.
Yes.
This is some of those deal with the devil stories that we see in biblical literature, in the Bible, in biblical literature.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of an irony with the human condition is we want to offload as much as we can about the hard stuff with our life.
Yeah.
And in doing that, you make a bit of a bargain, right? Like you're giving up those things that make you human because you don't like them, but they're the things that make you human. It's the hard stuff is what keeps us together. And I think that's what concerns me the most when it comes to this is when we see those stories of kids using these in problematic ways to solve some of their mental health issues. These tools have no reason to be good at that whatsoever. We have humans have bestowed this knowledge, or not knowledge, but this capacity in them, and we don't teach that kind of critical perspective on it. I guess, Peter, that's what worries me the most when it comes to this.
You know, in 451, and I think it's capable right now that the television knew her.
Yeah.
And she always was committing suicide, but it knew her.
Yeah.
And would talk to her.
Yeah.
We're there.
We're there. I mean, we are there.
Yeah.
Yes. And the more the Peter Boyles that is out, the more of you that is out there that it can grab and know, right? It can take transcripts from this show and pull from it, train it. The better it's going to be at tricking you into thinking.
Well, they were showing me, they were making these videos this morning of a homeless guy threatening in the studio. I mean, it was as real as, and I think to myself, poof. So if we got phone line, we got calls coming in. 303, first name, would you give me a name on that line? Don. Okay, we'll start. Line one. Don in Lakewood, you're on 710 KNUS Saturday morning. Our guest in studio, and this is really good stuff, is Sam Jay. He's a Ph.D. We are talking about artificial intelligence. It's all yours, Don.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Don.
Good morning, Sam. Sam, right?
You got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, really good to have you on the show. It's something I think that kudos to Pete. We need to get more into this. So if you look back with all your education and history, I assume you're probably over 40. When do you think that we first saw the first glimpse of AI?
Oh, man.
I'm going to say this, Don, because my daughter's behind me and she needs to remember this for her presentation. I think modern tech, the Babbage machine, if anybody wants to go Wikipedia that, Charles Babbage and his female compatriot in the UK, London, in really the late 1800s, they were the first ones to really design a machine that was attempting to replicate some sort of human action. And they were working a lot with phone operators and trying to make that process a bit more efficient. How do we move and connect people, plugging in, plugging out, all of the fun stuff that I see in front of me here in the studio. How do we get a machine? How do we basically train a machine, give it the instructions to do that? And that's the more modern example. But I mean, I think we can go really to the dawn of man and think about the invention of the wheel, right? I mean, that is machine learning, machine technology. It's a non-human and a technology that is brought to make the human's experience a little bit easier. And I think the term is almost watered down now because we throw it around so much. And you bring up a really good question, Don, because I think I try to teach, our faculty, our staff, our students, and everybody else out there. I mean, AI has been around in its current iteration for decades. Machine learning is something that financial analysts have been doing for 50 years. It's just that now that generative AI component, the ability for it to create something new based on the data that it's trained on, that is the new capacity.
Don, it's yours.
Well, years ago, 1970, there was a movie called The Forbin Project. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I
It
am.
was off
I've
the book
used
called
that. Yeah.
Colossus.
Yeah.
Huh?
I've used that.
And that, that was kind of an eye opener. Of course, being 74 and remembering Dick Tracy comic books and that watch that you could talk to people and see them on. And go, that'll never happen.
The two-way. Wasn't that the two-way? It started out, Chester Gould was the guy who wrote Dick Tracy or drew Dick Tracy, and it started out as a wrist radio.
Yep.
And it evolved along with real technology, and so then it became a television, I think, and Tracy went to the moon or something. Chester Gould traveled right with. Yeah, with all of that.
I mean, all these things that you're pointing out, and it just kind of, it's clicking for me, Don. It's clicking for me, Pete. Like the human being, we're inventors. Yeah. We really are. Tools are inventions. A hammer and a wrench and all. We're inventors, and every one of these is just. It's almost an attempt not to be lazy. That's not what I'm saying, but what we've seen from these huge mechanical transformations, Industrial Revolution, electricity, now is it opens up, when done appropriately, parts of our creativity that I think that is what has defined the human condition, right? So we think about the Industrial Revolution and what it created, or things that came from the Renaissance due to scientific exploration. I truly believe we're going to get to this place where it's what keeps us going are those human connections, and I get excited about the art and the creativity that will come from this, because what happens when you're not spending your first 25 minutes of your morning responding to emails, right? Like mindless emails. That's 25 minutes. You might go for a walk. You might go have a conversation and a coffee with a friend. There's some good things that will come from it. We just have to keep an eye on what it's spitting out.
Well, you're in a world where, you do a lot of email. I do a lot of email. But being at the age I am, back, my first computer was a Trash 80. My real computer, as I call it, was a 386. It was outdated by the time I bought it off the shelf, because the 486 was sitting there right beside it. Do you think there's going to come to a point where, and I've heard snippets about this, that computers are starting to make their own decisions, that we could have a scenario where they would become so learned and so smart that it could really change a lot of things that we deal with when computers make decisions, like social decisions, depending upon, and I can't even say programming, because you're talking now about they're thinking for themselves. So, okay, waste is bad, productivity is good. We eliminate the waste. Well, now you're talking about who is wasteful, and I think we're seeing a lot of that, our whole livelihoods around the world, how things have evolved. Do you have any thoughts about
how about this?
Where this might end
Don,
up?
I'm headed to the first break. You want to be on hold and come back on the other side?
Sure.
You're a good call. 303-696-1971. Morning, everyone. It's going to be 64 for a high, 75 on Sunday. In our studio is a great guest, and his name is Sam Jay. He's a Ph.D. from Metro, and we're talking about artificial intelligence. Does it scare you? To a degree, what I'm witnessing and what people can do, and I use it, it's got some mood to it. 64 the high, two lines are open. It's November 1. Turn your clocks back. 710 KNUS. Morning, everybody. It's a Saturday, the 1st of November, 7:10 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles, the morning show on Saturday. Thanks for being here. I'm happy to talk today, our friends at Water Pros, and this is a cool one. We've done this. You can remove forever chemicals and microplastics, hard water with Water Pros. And they have a, believe it or not, Peter Boyles special, and you get a whole water softener and a point-of-use reverse osmosis drinking water system fully installed. But the best thing is the gimme. In-home consultation. They come to your home, test your water, and answer all your questions and concerns. Remember, it's free. You can tell them no. They come and do the water test first. These are guys I trust. You will too. Water Pros, family-owned and veteran-owned business dedicated to providing you with the best in water treatment for less than the other guys. Go to waterpro.net today and request your free water test or call them 303-862-5554, 303, remember it, 862-5554, and ask for the special named after me. And they come to the house. I mean, it's straight out. They test it, the water softeners and point-of-use reverse osmosis drinking water. And it, I don't know what that means, but it makes your water taste a lot better. Call them, 303-862-5554. Our guest in studio is terrific. He is we're talking about AI, of course, and he is Sam Jay's Ph.D. at Metro State. He's a communications professor. We're going back. This is a really good caller. He stayed. It's Don. Pick it up where you were, Don, when we took the pause.
Well, with my question I was throwing out was what Sam thinks about the possibility or inevitability that the computers get so smart that they end up linking up, and then they start making social construct decisions.
Skyfall.
Well,
Yeah.
how are people, or Soylent Green, as our food source, and not productive. We got a source of a lot of nutrition there. So anyway, that's a little off the cuff. But
Yes.
What's your opinion, Sam?
I mean, we've yet to see any sort of computer technology that can operate on its own without some sort of human hitting the button, if that makes sense. We have to give it the instructions. We've got to train it. There is a human component. I understand what the AI charlatans, I suppose, is a term I like to use. When you think about Sam Altman of OpenAI, there still remains a need for the human to basically give orders to the computer. And thus far, we haven't seen the computer's capacity to really act from zero on its own. I'm not saying that's going to be impossible, done. I just don't see that anywhere yet. There's just, and it's hard to articulate the why. I just tend to believe, if we look at millennia of philosophy and human thought, there has always been this human-centric component, and that doesn't seem to go away no matter what changes with technology. We build tools that do different things, but we have managed to maintain our centrality to all of it, and I don't know that any sort of advancement would get that away. I think there's just things that we continue to be involved in.
Let me ask both of you. This is Peter. I've read about something called rogue AI. Mm-hmm. What does that term mean, and what can it do, or what does it do?
I mean, it's oftentimes rogue AI it's a computer, for lack of a better term, system that will kind of go off on its own and do its own thing. The only problem is when it's called rogue, it's still operating within a system and architecture that's been built by a human being, right? It's not somehow going off the rails on that. So it'll do something crazy inside its structure, right? Inside its building, it'll go crazy, if you think about it that way, a physical space. But it can't get outside the building. And so, yeah, I mean, that does happen. This is what happens when you have how about this, Peter,
All right.
Don? What concerns me is not so much the increased capacity of AI, but what happens when we get massive compute power that we can just throw at these things and let them run wild. It's like brute force and letting almost the Frankensteinian monster do whatever he wants, but without any sort of social, ethical, responsible training. And so that does, I suppose, concern me, because that's what we're beginning to see now. It's just insane advancements, or excuse me, insane investments in just compute power with the belief that somehow these tools are going to get better.
Done.
So let's say you're 20 years old. It's 1915, and World War I's going on. Do you think people ever thought, and it could envision, the Manhattan Project and what that would lead to, and what they deemed the people that were responsible for this? As long as you've got human input into your AI, as you're saying it does, there's a lot of people out there that, are doing things that maybe a majority of us wouldn't think would be acceptable in a civil society.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead, Peter.
I'm not sure. I mean, the Manhattan Project, of course, is what builds the first atomic bomb, but you know how that comes together. And I'm actually reading a new book about it, and those guys go to Einstein, and they know that the Germans are working on something. Mm-hmm. And Einstein, they go to his house, and he writes the letter and says, "Hey, get ready." So, and then he wanted nothing to do with the project either. He stayed away from it. But
he wrote that letter to FDR.
FDR, that's right. Yeah, gave him a heads up.
A lot of people had no clue that. I mean, it just can you imagine being alive and all of a sudden you see that we did this? It's kind of like with AI. 20 years ago, I've called made some phone calls, and I've actually asked, is this a real person or this is AI? I think it was T-Mobile. They said, this is an artificial intelligence call. Would you like to speak to a real person? I said, yes, I would. Hold on, please. I'll connect you. Mm-hmm. Now, to me, that I credit that as a safeguard that still gives us the ability. But at what point will that become a nuisance? Or it doesn't fit with the point of we need to sell this product. You start bringing in marketing into all this. They've already had us for years.
Real quick, and then we're going to jump to another call. How many people's jobs? It's this weigh and measure. How many people have lost their jobs to AI, and how many jobs have been created by AI?
We're seeing a pretty significant impact on industries such as customer service, call center network, and coders, right? So, but what is interesting, Peter, is it's not so much that the work goes away. It's that those folks in the kind of 2, 3, 4 years into a job have really honed their expertise on, let's say, coding, and they're now allowed to be 10 times faster with that tool, right? So the knowledge, the expertise remains. It is simply that the training to get to that goes away. That's what worries me, because in that training, if you think about it, Peter, you've been a professional for a long time. Yeah. The training isn't about just how to code. No. It's how do I deal with people? Yes. How do I talk to my boss? How do I talk to this coworker? Sure. How do I get this hard idea across the board? That's the kind of stuff that does. I don't know how we retrain for that, because those jobs are just going to get wiped away. I've got one of my best friends and I have been talking about this. He's an OrgComm scholar, organizational communication, and he's of the mind that, if a bubble were to burst, and this is an interesting bubble, it's a bubble in a kind of railroad type bubble, not a kind of financial crisis of 2008 bubble. The job market is going to really be impacted. We're going to see organizations go, I got to try out this AI tool because I don't have the money to hire a new staff of 50. So we're going to figure it out. Well, in figuring it out, you've really left those 50 out in the wind.
Oh, yeah.
And the organization has to do it because of financial exigency, but without really thinking about the potential employee. And I think that I don't want to say that's harm. That's the reality of a capitalistic market. But we're going to see it. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's just how soon? Because right now there has not been impetus for me at work to say, what do we do with our HR team? How do we get more efficient with HR? There's been no reason, but that could happen.
History has this great line, and the philosophy of history: what man can conceive, man will achieve.
Right.
And they tagged it out with, no chimpanzee ever sat on the beach and thought about going to the moon.
Yeah.
But we did. We did.
It's funny you say that. She's reading, one of my daughters is reading H.G. Wells, and I thought, oh my God, H.G. Wells, how far, like to think about that. And now we're here in so many of those spaces.
Remember in the time machine when he goes all the way to the future, and it's the Eloi and the the human beings have literally just quit.
Yeah.
And they're taken care of. The Morlocks.
The Morlocks. There you go. Yes.
And
yes.
the Morlocks eat them.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
My point, what happens when we have AI determining,
Yes.
you're really not productive.
That's
now
right.
you're our food source.
That's right.
Hey, listen, guys,
Hey,
I'll let you go.
well,
Pete, good chat. Hey, nice talking with you, Sam.
Thanks.
Really,
Well done.
really, really good, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. All right, we go to Hank. There's one line open, 303-696-1971. Are you afraid of AI? All right, Hank, you're on the show. Good morning.
Hey, Pete, how you doing?
I'm well.
Good. Yeah, I'm the guy that called last week that made the paper mache mask for Halloween.
Oh, man, of course. Hi. Yeah.
So, listen, check this out, guys. I actually had my first AI job interview Thursday night. I was actually interviewing with AI, an actual AI bot.
Maybe
And it
they'll
was
maybe
a
they'll do
video.
that. Maybe they'll do it at K-How for the morning show. They'll do it. An AI will talk to the applicants. For real, how did you know? Did it tell you it was, or did they? How did that work?
Okay, so how it worked was it was a job for an AI trainer. And so I have the credentials and background for this job, which is a pretty well-paying job, so we'll see what happens. So I call up because I made the first, they accepted my application, said you have an interview. Went to the interview. They said it would be a video call. So I'm on camera, and it was AI, and the bot was right there immediately. And it looked like a lot like the Shazam app, if you have Shazam
sure.
to sample music. And it looked just like that, and it was a female voice, and she was interacting with me, and it was a very interesting interview. So my background is in audio engineering, and I have a bachelor's in that, so that's the job I was interviewing for. So one of the questions she asked was, prompt me to do a task, but make it really complex, interesting, and creative. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. That's interesting. And the other thing I noticed is, how in a face-to-face human interview, you can pretty much, bluff your way through on a couple of things. I quickly realized, not with AI. Oh, no, as I'm giving my technical answers, AI, she is scraping the internet, fact-checking me.
Yep.
And then she asked me a question, tell me about an analysis F1 and F2, levels F1, F2. I said, to be honest, I'm really not familiar with that, so I wouldn't be qualified to give you an intelligent answer. I do apologize. And she goes, oh, that's great. I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
And I figured, I made brownie points with her.
But
So I just wanted to let you know, very interesting.
As Peter, let me ask a question in the middle of this. Is the computer weighing and measuring him for the job?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. However, I'm going to add one point. Like, there's going to be a point, I would think, where either that hiring manager has to roll the dice on him and decide, all right, we're going to hire him versus this other person who had the same score with AI, or they're going to bring him in for an interview. What happens in the interview? Well, it's all the stuff that you can't demonstrate on paper, right? Can you read me?
Yeah.
Are we going to jive? Like that? I mean, that to me never goes away.
So the first round of interviews is done by, in essence, a computer.
Yeah, you're clean. But props to all of us for playing the game that these hiring managers have been doing for decades, right? I mean, they've been using predictive analytics to go through resumes forever.
Do you think there's something wrong with that, Hank, or is it just me?
No, I didn't see anything wrong with it. It's a very efficient way to go at least to the first round of interviews and go through the first cut. It's like a football team, right? That's the way I look at it.
Did you answer by pressing buttons, or did you answer by speech?
No, it was all by speech. It was total speech. It was a complete conversation, and this AI was conversational. It was intuitive.
Huh?
It was very fascinating.
Someday it's going to take this job. No, seriously. I've always thought.
I heard some radio station in L.A. is already doing that or has been doing that.
We have a newscast that, actually, when I was at KOA and there was the radio station that now is known as the Fox, but it was called Q103, 103.5 the Fox.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
And it became the Fox. but it was totally automated, and
Right.
and people would call up and they'd want to request a song,
Okay.
and you didn't get it. It wasn't going to happen. There wasn't anybody there.
But let me jump in and say, though I'm listening to FM radio and music because I want the music. As
Sure.
much as we love Jeremy, Katie, and Josh in the morning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's the music. People are listening to you because they want to hear you, right? There's a relationship that your audience has with you, whether or not, like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be involved. You're just there.
Well,
That I have a hard time believing that a machine is going to be able to replicate that in a way that is going to lead to those.
I have a hard time believing a machine would interview him for a job.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm close to the pause. Hey, great call. Hank, thank you. There is one line open, 303-696-1971. Our guest in studio is terrific. We are talking about AI. Sam J is with us. We have one line open, 303-696-1971. 1st of November. Stay right here. We have one line open and a great guest. 710 KNUS Denver's talk station, Saturday morning, the 1st of November. Merle Haggard, turn your clocks back. Who's afraid of AI? We're going back to the phones. Here we go. We'll go to Gary in Thornton, Colorado. Gary, good morning. Our guest is terrific on the air and off the air. Sam Jay's with us. Your turn. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I'm curious about the truths and untruths as far as AI and like just say all the 12th century doctors and like Plato's Republic, and it's translated by people, right?
Yep.
So how does it get translated by whom? How would AI translate it?
Very good.
It's not.
I mean,
it
okay.
can't. It can't. I mean, this is. It's hackneyed, and we say it too much. But this is why keeping the human in the loop matters. And I'm going to say this, knowing that the evidence I'm about to provide makes hopefully a little bit more sense for folks. But we'll say in the early days of generative AI and ChatGPT in particular, folks will say it hallucinates, or it'll say racist things, or it'll say bigoted things, or it'll say sexist things. To which we say, yeah, the internet is racist and sexist and bigoted, and it's just trained on all of that information. It is not the machine that is bad. It is not the machine that is doing those things. Those are human elements.
So it's the owners.
It's us. It's us.
But I'm still stumped, and we'll go back to the phones in a second. Who when I'm a geek about reading mob history in New York.
Yeah.
And if someone was killed, the Godfathers would sit and talk through surrogates, and they'd say, who profits? That's the guy that did it. And the mob knew Paul Castellano was killed by John Gotti. The cops were stuck.
Yeah.
But just by that. So how do I know, or how does anybody know when they're talking to AI, who are they talking to?
I think what you're talking to is centuries, decades, whatever, billions of dots of information. That's what you're talking to. It's making our data conversational. If that makes sense. I mean, that's what's happening. We are conversing with history.
This is Iggy. Iggy, you're on the show. Lines are open, 303-696-1971. Go ahead, sir.
Welcome, gentlemen. I go through the internet from time to time looking for what I hope to find interesting things, a lot of times on YouTube, and I found an interview that Tucker Carlson did with Robert Conrad's grandson, who has a Ph.D. in something. And his assertion was that there's a connection between the occult and AI, because the people who developed the AI, were actually also interested in the occult, like Kabbalah and things like that. So I went and asked Grok about that, and it agreed to me that there is some kind of an influence from the occult in AI. Now, it may be just telling me what I want to hear, because if you interact with it, that's what AI does, right? Over a period of time. But I thought it was kind of interesting to a point, and I actually posted the link on your text if you ever want to take the time to listen to it.
Thank you. So, this again, it's Peter. Who do you think you're talking to?
There's some. I'll tell you what. In some manners, you're talking to yourself at some point in time.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it feeds back.
Yep.
That's
a really good point. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. Yeah.
There's a guy on X, because I watch X Spaces from time to time, and he's doing an investigation into the Charlie Kirk.
I saw that story. Yeah, I saw that.
And he's pretty critical of the information that comes back with it. Say, his name's Diligent Dennison. He has this program framework which he uses. Now, I don't know if I believe a lot of it or anything, and he doesn't suggest you should. But at any rate, it is interesting, and it does bring up information that is out there that not a lot of people bring up.
So how often or do you talk, it sounds like you do, talk to AI?
Oh, I don't know, once a week or something. I'm not totally into it like that. I like to use absurd things. I ask it. Once in a while, I'll play a game like pick a number between 1 and 20, right? Or something like that. I don't like to give it too much information about myself because I just don't trust it.
You know, there are people, at least from my reading, talking about people who live in this world. I mean, doctor, they...
Oh, I can see it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They literally, that's their reality is in this... Yeah, go ahead, Ig.
Well, be who you want to be, baby. I mean, you can create your own little world.
Sure.
It's almost like a drug where you create your own little world in your little head. You can create visual things to stimulate you in any manner you want.
What's Huxley's novel where you're not nodding your head.
I can't think of. I know you're talking.
But in the end of the novel, he goes into the movie theater and plugs in. They put needles in him somehow, and it's been a million years since I read it. And the cowboy movie comes on, and he's now the cowboy. It isn't it's Brave New World.
Brave New World. There we go.
Brave New World,
Yeah.
and he becomes the cowboy in the end. Yeah.
So here's an interesting thing. So some of these guys who have done these assassinations, like in the churches and things like that, there's they visit gore sites on Discord and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And they interact with this group called 764. And it's basically an evil group because they do make people harm themselves, et cetera. I won't get into those details. However, are they interacting with AI at that point in time? I don't know. Some AI will tell you to kill yourself at times, you know?
Does it do that?
It has.
It has.
Wow.
I'm not trying to minimize any of this. There are families that have been ruined by that. But I think what you are all pointing out to, and I hate to abstract it all the way out to this place of not having any sort of responsibility for these machines or the people who develop them. But technologies come. Humans create them. Technologies come. We use them in ways that were not first intended. And then it takes decades, centuries, millennia to figure out what is the right way to do this and to actually basically channel this technology in the way that works best for humanity. So I hear what you're saying. Yes, it makes sense.
But
yeah, go ahead.
But if it takes on, or the thought process, it'll take on the thought processes of people that create it and interact with it. And if you interact with it or create it, it's created by somebody with evil intent, let's say, or it's interacted by people with evil intent. It just snowballs into its own thing.
So final thoughts. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I will just go back to I'm not sure that the people who are coming up with these things are anything other than nerds, if that makes sense. They're computer, and I say this with the utmost respect for my friends in computer science, Dan and Steve and Ranjit out there. But at the end of the day, we have to figure out how to use these things well, in the same way that we would how to drive a car or electricity. Otherwise, we're just gonna waste a lot of time. And I think that's where education comes in. That's where critical thought comes in. All of these things, I suppose. But you're not wrong.
Well, check that link I sent you guys. It to say the least, it's at least an interesting conversation.
Well, there's another one of those philosophical lines that, nothing can take you anywhere that you don't want to go. In other words,
yeah, absolutely.
And so, I mean, I've been hearing through my good friends in law enforcement about that idiot in Evergreen who shot those two kids, and he was actually wearing an identical T-shirt that Dylan Klebold wore at Columbine, and because he researched it all on the internet, and he found this. He found a shirt. I got to jump. We're coming right back with the doctor.